Hello, my name is Laura Fielding, and I'm the Executive Director of Red Berets Medicare for All and board member of Whole Washington, wholewashington.org for universal healthcare for the state of Washington, coalition builder and leader for among the one-payer states movement. Hi, everybody. Good morning, and this is going to be a very, very short update. Just pretty excited because today, probably pretty soon, we can expect my interview with Ryan Knight on Amped Up Pod that we recorded on Friday evening to drop. And I think there will be a place that's free for those of you who are not subscribed or Patreon members. You should be able to see it, but we'll wait and we'll see. Hopefully you're all following Amped Up Pod on Twitter, and that's Ryan Knight. So I'm really excited for that interview. And then let's see what else. I finished another fisherman's rib brioche red beret for Justin Jackson. And so hopefully I'll be able to send that to him. I was really, really excited about how it turned out. I did it in 2 shades of National Nurses Red, because of course National Nurses United are the organization that inspired me to knit these in red. Berets, because we need a peace army and we need to fund healthcare for our citizens, not perpetual endless wars. So I'll keep saying that. So those of you that are wondering why we chose red and why we chose berets, which is a bit of I happen to really like berets, but I know they're kind of, it's an interesting hat, but I definitely, as a veteran for peace, wanted to knit berets because of the need to quit funding the endless wars and actually put our tax dollars that we all pay towards infrastructure and green energy and healthcare and housing and all of the things that we need in this country. So that's the story, the Red Berets in brief. And then because this is going to be a short video, I want to move on to, looks like I need to wash my bangs. I just barely put some color in my hair and it already looks like it needs to be washed. So, all right. So that's Ryan Knight and Amped Up Pod. I'm really excited for that today. I'm a little bit nervous. My stomach was kind of, not because I didn't think that I did well, but because, it's kind of the biggest platform. Finally, a chance for Red Berets to have, a large platform. I know that people have seen us and followed us and supported us and contributed in big ways and small to our Twitter coalition and as well Facebook. We have a Facebook presence. I have an Instagram account, but I don't go on there. I know that's unfortunate, really, because Instagram would be a very good tool. And it may be at some point I'll find somebody who volunteers to run an Instagram account for Red Berets, because we have a lot of amazing photos, and I'd love to continue to kind of visually get the idea out there so that everybody can start knitting, sewing, crocheting these at the local level for organizations for, say, Healthcare for All Los Angeles, for example, and Maine Action. And, that's kind of my vision and my dream, is that the idea will begin to get out there, that people can, in fact, craft these, and not just for appearance sake, but they are a very bold statement to wear to events or, say, to town halls when we start doing, well, it doesn't even matter if they're in person. If you go to a Zoom town hall or someplace where you're seen, for example, I wore my Red Beret when I testified to the Senate Healthcare Committee in opposition to it's not a healthcare bill. They were framing it as a healthcare bill that they put up as the excuse to be able to give that bill a hearing in Washington state, instead of the actual bill that contains legislation on how we would actually pay for and implement universal health care in Washington state, 5204. But of course, they saw us coming and they didn't want to give 5204 a hearing. So they had a bunch of supposed single payer advocates introduce a bill that is 4 pages long and doesn't say how they're going to do it. All it is to form a commission to further study how and bring together a commission to look at how they could eventually look at writing a bill and passing universal health care eventually, someday, kind of like maybe Warren's plan to have a platform for a pathway to a selfie to like that's not single payer or Medicare for all. It's a plan, towards a public option, towards an eventual transition, towards maybe someday having Medicare for all, and healthcare justice is not anything that we're interested in. So we're not interested in it at the state level, and we're not interested in it at the federal level. So anyway, they make a very bold statement. But I also want to let people know that we are crafting these we're crafting and largely donating this work. Sometimes we reimburse crafters for the cost of the materials, and people can always craft these independently and make some money. Crafters do deserve to earn money for their work. It's a lot of hours. It's a labor of love. So I'm not here to tell anybody what they should do with their own crafted red berets in whatever style and shade of yarn and pattern. Really, the sky is the limits. I firmly believe in grassroots action. And so what I personally and what some of the crafters that are in our Red Berets Coalition are doing are knitting and crocheting for Whole Washington. We donate our efforts largely to wholewashington.org so that people can, if they want to, help fund a completely grassroots organization that is 100% volunteer-based, working on single payer at the state level. They can do so because initiatives, when we go into, now that we've been blocked from receiving a hearing from the Senate Healthcare Committee, and I am assuming that the Ways and Means Committee will also block us from receiving a hearing. That's very much the game. They're completely owned by the insurance industry. They don't want us to have a hearing. We knew this all along, but we're still, Whole Washington is an organization that is always organizing for federal legislation. We'll be fully in support of Premier Jayapal's bill when it's reintroduced. We're fighting on all fronts towards achieving healthcare for everyone in the United States. It's just that we understand that we have a president in Joe Biden who said that he will veto a bill if it ever arrives on his desk, and there won't be a bill arriving on his desk with a corporately owned Congress. So we can't wait to have this conversation and this action for when we eventually have a chance of electing another president that is not going to veto it. So that makes no sense. We need a solidarity movement that is all of the one-payer states and the 99% working together to open the floodgates for the United States of America, just like Saskatchewan province did for Canada over 50 years ago. It's probably been like 54 years ago. I'd have to check the timeline, but and we don't have any ego or stake in the game as to, hopefully, I forget the name of the bill number that was just introduced in California. We absolutely are doing everything, on social media and otherwise to try to form solidarity and amplify their efforts, because we want California to pass it. We want the New York Health Act to pass New York Health. So we're, trying to amplify them. We don't have a stake in which state passes this first. And just because a state passes it, that doesn't mean that the efforts for fighting for Medicare for all stop. It means that it actually forces it onto the platform to where it makes it even much more possible. That's with marijuana legalization and Fight for 15 and ranked choice voting, and so many issues are being accomplished. It's because we have to completely the grassroots have to do it. We have a completely, we live in a corporate rule oligarchy. So I think most of us understand this. And so what I go into a little bit in the interview with Ryan Knight that's dropping today is just how I would like to see, well, actually we need to see much more solidarity from elected progressives in the movement. Now, that may or may not be forthcoming, but that does not prevent us from saying that that's what's needed. And solidarity in terms of people not pouring cold water on good efforts, such as Force the Vote, such as state-based efforts. We can't afford to do any of that stuff. The insurance lobby is absolutely organized and unified in their objective of stopping any kind of the taking of the profit motive out of our healthcare system. They are absolutely clear on that front and unified. So it makes absolutely no sense for people that purport to be for Medicare for all or national improved Medicare for all, a single payer system, to anyone to be pouring any cold water on local, state, or any efforts at all. If there's something that you or people personally didn't want to support Force the Vote, I can't imagine it. But if you didn't want to do that, then you were always welcome to be investing your time and energy in whatever actions that you saw fit towards furthering our opportunities. But for people to be wasting energy attacking and undermining other good efforts, or for national people to continually ignore and undermine the only real chance that we have of opening these floodgates via state by state is it's hard for me to wrap my mind around. But I do understand that people, they're politicians, and they also have their prescribed path that they have chosen. But it is costing the movement, because it is silencing and ignoring and undermining the grassroots. And the movement, the people that you are going to need in order to eventually pass national improved Medicare for all, are the grassroots. Bernie Sanders famously, repeatedly always said, change always comes from the bottom on up. It never comes from the top on down. So I would really like to see that quote be embodied by the national progressive movement, as we have to relinquish a little bit of our control and our prescribed pathway to show some solidarity with the grassroots, because we need the grassroots. Our movement will not survive, nor will it succeed without grassroots efforts. So regardless of whether that happens or not, we continue to organize. We're going to continue to build our coalitions and support each other and fundraise in order to be able to run an initiative back to the Berets. So that's how the Red Berets are in Washington State, and people that support us all across the United States and even abroad. If you end up watching this and you live in a country that guarantees healthcare as a right, and you see us over here fighting like hell to try to join the rest of the developed world, everybody can be involved and help us print one petition at a time. It's $1 a petition. Each petition holds 20 signatures. If you want to help us, you can order a Red Beret, or just make a donation if you don't want a beret. But we sell them singly. We sell them in organizer bundles of 5 and 10. So you could, if you're part of a DSA group who likes to go out and canvass or organize, you could get together and order a bundle of 5 or 10. And then, you can wear your own organization buttons on your beret. And meanwhile, you'll know that you have helped Whole Washington pay to fund a few petitions, because they're very, very costly. So you see how that's synergistic, and that's what we need to do, is really think outside the box and have a lot of solidarity for one another. And of course, if other people like this template and crafters want to begin crafting for their local one-payer state effort, or for candidates who are running on Medicare for all, go on and do that. Figure out how you can do that. That's how a grassroots idea works. Now, to the second thing that I wanted to cover, and then I'm going to get off of here. I have quite a few things to do today. I had an amazing conversation. I was reached out to by outreach director of People's Party, not Movement for People's Party, People's Party. And, they really want to, both at the Washington state level and nationally, find out how they can help to get the word out about the Red Berets efforts and our efforts as wholewashington.org to achieve to pass our legislation. Probably not through the legislature at this point, although, if enough pressure comes, who's to say? We don't ever really close the door to something. We're really literally working on every single front. It would seem that what's going to occur is if we can do enough fundraising, we'll run the petition to the legislature and we'll have 10 months to gather signatures. So just having a party reach out, and of course they're clear on the fact that Whole Washington cannot endorse candidates or parties or anything like that. But what can happen is People's Party can send out all the information to the people that are organizing at both the Washington level and nationally, and they can say, look, here's a template. This is what Washington State is doing. And, they want to be of the most help. They've learned a lot through several different iterations of their bill. It's even now been approved by the State Department of Revenue. Like, we have literally thought of everything. I say we, I'm not a policy person, but, so many, the I's have been dotted and the T's have been crossed, and it's extremely good legislation, and we've learned a lot. So we can help provide any information and organizing template for people in other states that would like, especially states that have the ability or the power to do a ballot initiative, either to the people or the legislature. But either way, just having like one payer state organization, even if it's that you have to do it legislatively, just the fact of building that groundwork of organizers who can also turn and do actions when called upon towards the national movement, for example, towards doing an action to support Pramila Jayapal's bill. That's we need that kind of infrastructure at the ground. From the ground on up happening. So I really, that's a conversation that has now been started, that I'm going to meet up again with like the main state organizer, or the chair of the organizing that's happening for People's Party here in Washington State. And again, just to be reached out to with, we want to help. What can we do to help? We want to get this word out there. It almost feels like I just did. I'm so excited because this is kind of the solidarity that we need, and I would welcome anyone that wants to reach out. And if the Green Party comes forward saying, we have Medicare for All on our platform, and we would like to know how we can support Whole Washington and let our massive infrastructure of Green Party members know what is happening in Washington State and in your allied one-payer states, how can we help? We welcome that conversation as well. But it's just, when the People's Party reaches out and says that they want to do some outreach and that they want to help, I'm incredibly grateful for that, because that's all that we're trying to do, is get the word out and try to make this happen. So thank you for watching, and hopefully that interview, when it drops, you'll all ask your questions, amplify, share it to whatever platforms, social media platforms that you're on. Let's get this. The main thing is to get the national conversation geared towards that we're really not going to wait around on a veto president and a corrupt Congress. Like, we understand that we need to elect Senator Nina Turner to join the Progressive Bloc in Congress. All of this stuff has to happen simultaneously and synergistically. We can't afford to wait on this administration, because their sole purpose is actually to block progressive agenda. So it makes no sense to sit around and hope and wait that we can push them a little bit to the left, it's not to the left, push them to actually represent the 99% rather than the donor class. But unfortunately, that's I just don't even know how to say that. It always strikes me as a little funny when people think that that is possible or that's the case, can be the case when actually, they did everything they could to stop the Medicare for All candidate by installing, by forcing Joe Biden through the media machine and the shenanigans in the Iowa caucuses and everything else. My view is that we absolutely have to open the floodgates via a one payer states approach, and that we just need to link arm in arm and have complete solidarity with all good efforts being made, and stop leaving one payer states out of the national conversation, because essentially when you do that, what you're saying is that it really is okay for 222 roughly people to die today. That's essentially what you're saying. It doesn't matter if you said that or not. Through inaction and through not amplifying a good, solid piece of legislation that is essentially as close as we can get, pretty much single payer in the state of Washington, or whatever the other good efforts are in the other states, you're leaving people to hang out and dry. That's really a point of privilege. We cannot afford to do that. So for those of you who are supporting the Red Berets and supporting a gold standard like wholewashington.org in whatever way you can, small dollar donations, sharing on social media, signing up to be a volunteer on wholewashington.org, because you can help in big ways and small. So thank you very much. We'll see you soon.